We are now 2 weeks into the NBA fallout in China after Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, tweeted his support for protesters in Hong Kong. Lakers superstar LeBron James then pushed back against Morey, saying he was either misinformed or not really educated on the situation. And a lot of people, including some U.S. lawmakers, then said that James was caving to the Chinese communist regime, all for business reasons. Well, on Tuesday, James seemed to backpedal, saying Morey had a right to tweet what he did.
You know, when an issue comes up, if you feel passionate about it or you feel like it's something you want to talk about, then so be it. I also don't think that every issue should be everybody's problem as well. You know, so, you know, when things come up, there's multiple things that we haven't talked about that happen in our own country that we don't bring up.
Dan Gaynor, Vice President of Business and Culture for the Media Research Center, which looks at liberal media bias, joins us now with more on this. Dan, this has been quite the saga, and China has definitely pushed the NBA over all of this. The Chinese Basketball Association has suspended its ties to the Rockets because of the original tweet, and the Chinese state broadcaster did not air 2 preseason NBA games between the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets last week. So what do you think of the relationship between the NBA and China at this point?
Well, I think the NBA and China, frankly, every company needs to come to terms. If you're cutting a deal with China, you're cutting a deal with a nation that abuses people of faith, of all faiths, unless you worship the government. So they'll lock up 1 million Muslims. The Uyghurs are being horribly mistreated. They will abuse Christians. They will mistreat everybody, and that's what you're buying into. So LeBron James, who is worth nearly $500 million, is worried about his business ties to a dictatorship and then compares that dictatorship to the United States. This is the problem.
It's really interesting. We also know that Nike stores in China have pulled their Houston Rockets merchandise off the shelves. That's according to the Washington Times. So does it seem like there's a double standard here where companies like Nike will encourage speaking out on issues like racial inequality at home, but not speaking out against human rights abuses abroad?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just the woke sports leagues like the NBA. It's woke companies like Nike that turned Kaepernick into a star. And notice how quiet he's been on this issue, because it comes down to it's not an issue of black or white in America. It's only an issue of green.
Dan, what do you think is the responsibility of the NBA, these athletes? What would you like to see?
Well, I mean, ultimately, you've got to have some semblance of morality. Right? We're bombarded with how much millennials want their companies to be socially conscious. And then the very companies and organizations that ram that down our throat every day, backstab humanity by backing a dictatorship like the Communist Chinese. If you are going to cut a deal with them, you are helping put 1 million people in prison camps and having their religions ripped from them. You're helping tear down churches and help discriminate against people of faith.
Well, it's really fascinating to see all this play out and challenging for everyone. Dan Gaynor, thanks for your insight.
Thank you.